In the last video, I talked about getting a domain name and setting up hosting. So if you don't have that, maybe you want to check that first. The link is in the description below to the whole playlist of videos that is in this series. But today we are going to talk about setting up WordPress on that hosting via a convenient script. And once that is done, we will take a look at the back interface of a standard WordPress installation without any plugins and themes. And I will kind of show you around and where you can find what and how to post and how to create pages and stuff like that. So let's go right into the control panel of NameCheap, and from there go to the cPanel and see where we go. So from this page here, which is basically the manage page of the product, the value hosting, you can go to the cPanel right here with a click of a button to log into cPanel. Then you will go to some page like this, and as mentioned in last video, you will have an email that has a username and password which you have to put into here, and then it's just logging in. The cPanel is actually quite powerful. You can do file management, you can also manage the FTP accounts to actually do the file management in a proper program. You can do the database management, and you can do domain redirects or set up subdomains. Additionally, you can also manage email accounts, which is super powerful, and we will go into that later. But we are going to focus on this scripts section down here, and we want to install WordPress, which is the most used CMS system, and about 21% of the whole internet are actually using WordPress for their websites. Here you can also see on the stats, over 60 million people have chosen WordPress to power the place on the web they call home. So this might be as well some place where you can go and call your website based on WordPress your home on the internet, like your platform. And you can obviously install WordPress yourself manually, but having a script like this makes it so much easier. But this kind of installation actually offers a couple of special features like backups and also the ability to have easy updates that are managed by your hoster. So we will click right on this Install Now page. And then we have this site where we can choose all kinds of things. And here you will have to first choose which basic protocol you want to use. I personally prefer HTTPS, but HTTPS will be a topic for tomorrow's video, so we will start out with HTTP. I really dislike the www because it's absolutely unnecessary and no longer needed. The domain you have to choose here will probably be the domain you just registered, and directory we will not choose anything because we want the domain right there, and we want, if someone goes to universitychooser.com, we want them to have the website and the blog right there. If you already have some kind of landing page there, you might want to choose something like universitychooser.com/blog. Then you could do that, but I would suggest to manage the complete website with one WordPress installation without having to go through anything else. Then we have the site settings, the site name and description, and also this WPMU, which is basically multi-site installations. This is something that is not needed for this kind of website we are going for, like this kind of base platform for one person. This would be a very advanced mode where you can actually install multiple WordPress versions in one installation and manage them more easily. But as long as you're not running a news network, that is not really needed. In terms of site name and site description, you might want to fill those out. For example, if we are going back to this World Trip Chris, this would be the site name, like World Trip Chris, for example, or the Chris Around the World. And the site description there is actually something like traveling around the world in 365 days, and some one or two sentences about your website basically. Then we want to set up an admin account, and in my case I would say I call this something like admin university, because just using admin is something you don't want to have, because admin is basically the most used admin username out there, and hackers would instantly try to hack that. Having something like admin university or something completely random, or just your personal initials and something added to them, or something different than just admin root or basic name, or also just your name is probably going to be somewhere on the website, so don't use your name on there as an admin interface login. For the password, it would be very helpful to use something quite random. I think you can click here, then you have a very random password that gets generated. I will do something along the lines of this, and I will copy and I will make a copy of that so I can actually remember it. The email address here is in this case admin@universitychooser. You might want to add something like your own email address in there. The language depends on which you want to install as the basic language. I choose English right here. And you can have a plugin that is initially installed to limit login attempts. We will not choose this one because I already have one in my mind that I will install for doing exactly that. Then you can also open these advanced settings. Here you can do a couple of things. You can disable notifications, auto upgrade and stuff like that. It might be helpful to have this kind of setup, but be careful with the auto updates, because sometimes if you do automatically update stuff, some things break. For example, with plugins, that can be the case that the new version actually works differently than the version before, and you have to make a couple of settings before it actually works again. So be careful with auto upgrade. I would not recommend it, and I would rather go in there and do it manually. Backups, however, is something that I would absolutely recommend. There are a couple of options. You can choose this backup solution right here, which NameCheap offers in this automatic installation script. You can do a once per day, once a week, or whatever you want. I would say once a week is probably enough. And here you can actually choose how many backups should be stored in the kind of archive. I would say 6 is enough, so you have 6 weeks worth of backups. You can also select themes here, but I have a personal favorite theme which I will be talking about, which is the X theme from ThemeCo, which is not free, but it offers a lot of additional features. I will also show you a couple of options where you can get other themes. These themes here, you can have a look at them, but some of them are actually not free, so you kind of also have to be careful there. For now, I will just leave it empty and I will click install here, and then it will just do a little bit of processing, and after the install I will be back and show you around in the back interface of the WordPress installation. Now, as you can see, the installation is already finished, and now if we open the domain, it's actually already installed, and here you have the My Blog and My WordPress, which is just the default design of the latest version of WordPress. And then we have the dashboard, and I'm actually already logged in as the administrator. This is kind of a magic trick of this install solution that it automatically logs me in. Now, I personally would instantly log out and log back in to store my password in my 1Password manager, but for now we can stay here. A couple of things I immediately do whenever I create a new WordPress installation is that I actually choose the screen options right here, and then I disable a couple of things. For example, the WordPress news, I really never look at them, and I can also reorder these. I never use the quick draft, so I can also disable that, and then you can just put that back up here. This screen options thing is almost always available in WordPress pages, and you can do all kinds of things. Here in this case, you can disable these kind of widgets or panels. On the posts page, if I go, for example, to the posts here, I can actually have the screen options as well, and there I can decide how many blog posts are shown per page, if I want the excerpt view or the list view, and I can also say which columns actually should be shown. Right now that might not look very interesting, but as you install more plugins, there are also more columns that can get added to this, so it can get a little bit tricky to still see enough information. So if you are alone on one page, for example, you could disable the author column because you are the only one writing posts, so you don't really need that. The same thing goes for tags. If you never use tags, why would you show them? But let's go from the top to the bottom. So right here we have the dashboard. This is the entrance right after logging in. If you want to manage your own username, you have this top right corner here, where you can go either to your profile or you can go to edit my profile, where you then can change your email address, your name, and the default admin color scheme. I just leave it at default, but some people prefer to change this. Also here you can do a couple of settings, for example, keyboard shortcuts, enable these for the comment moderation, or disable the visual editor, and I don't really know why you want to do that, but there are people who want to do that. Then you can put your own name here to have a little bit more of an author profile. And after you edit your name here, you can also decide how you want to be shown. So for example, you want to be shown as your full name, then you can add that. And if you want something else, then you can do something else. What you can also do here is generate a new password, but you don't have to take this password. You can actually put your own as well, like so. And then you can just save that password. But I already set my password, so I don't want to do that. Then on the top left corner, you have the My Blog, you have the comments, you have a new post and media and page area. These here are very helpful, especially the first one, to just simply go to the website itself or create a new post or a new page. Then in general, there is the left bar here, and then you have the big content area where stuff is shown. So the sidebar on the left has the dashboard where you actually have the home where you enter after logging in, and it has the updates area where you can reinstall WordPress, install the plugin updates, the theme updates, and the translation updates, and also the WordPress updates if there's a new version. The next area is the posts area, which makes a lot of sense because WordPress was intended as a blogging platform. By now it's more of a content management system, but a blog is still a very powerful part of it. So you have the posts next, and here you can just create a new post, you can manage the categories and the tags, and once you have added a new post, you can enter the title, you can change the text, and all kinds of things. I will be going over creating a post workflow in a later video, and please stay tuned for that. The next area is called media, and there you have the pictures, the PDFs, the files you upload, the audio documents, or the videos. With videos and audio, I would be careful because you don't really want to have them stored on your storage. I would much rather upload them to YouTube or other sources, also because they are more easily shared and you can just embed them in your posts. Next area, called pages, is what you would expect. It's the pages. And this is one thing that I see done wrong a lot of times, where people actually create a post where they have the About Me page in that post, where I think that makes no sense at all. There are pages and there are posts. Posts should be something that are actually published in a certain moment and then they kind of get older from there. Pages are something that stay there. For example, the About Me page, the contact page, the home page. There are many reasons to use pages. For example, if you offer books for sale, then I would have a page called books, and then you have your books listed on that page. If you have a portfolio, that would be a page as well and not just a blog post. And the last area in this content section is the comments. I personally rarely use comments in WordPress installations. I most often disable them completely. This is a personal preference, and of course other people might really like their comments or they want to have them there, but I will show you how to disable the comments in the plugins video. But if you want to have comments, then this is the page where you can manage them, where you can mark them as spam, delete them, reply to them, and do all kinds of things. Next up, we have the appearance area. The appearance area is there to activate different themes and also install them. This will be interesting for adding the newest theme, but it's also an area that is rarely used once the whole setup process is finished. You can do a couple of things. Some themes are customizable, so you have the customize area. The widgets are something for the sidebar. The menus are customizable here as well, where you can say which pages are actually in the menu and which are not. The header is something that is specifically activated in this theme that is currently activated, which is a default theme from WordPress. And the editor actually allows you to edit the themes files, which is something you will probably not do as long as you're not really into the whole changing things up game. Next up, we have the plugins area. In the plugins area, you can install, add, and change different plugins. And I will have a video in this series where it's all about plugins and which I think should be definitely installed here. And then we have the user settings, which is more interesting if you're actually using multiple users, which you can absolutely do, have an author and an editor, something like that. Also something that is rarely used if you have the website for yourself. The tools area is an area I personally never understood, because here it's the import and the export, and rarely any plugin uses this area where it might make sense, but some plugins actually put themselves here and it makes a lot of sense. But this is an area that I rarely ever use. And then one of the most important things is to get the settings right. And there you have the settings area. And the settings area actually gives you options to change the site title, the tagline, which was previously called the site description, I think. You can change the domain if you change the domain. You can change the main email address. And you have the settings about how to show dates and time, for example, and also which time zone to choose. For example, for me, it would be UTC+1 right now in Berlin or in Germany. Then you can also decide if your week starts on Sunday or Monday. I never understood why it would start on Sunday, but apparently that is the case in some countries. And the site language can be changed here as well. I just leave it as English here. The next area is writing, and the writing area is just a couple of default things, for example, the category and the post format. Then you have the post via email, where you can actually have the system check a specific email server for new emails, and then you can email that email server. I never use this, and I actually post my stuff right in WordPress. And then we have this update services, which actually pings different services if there is a new post. This is a very powerful thing, but the ping-o-matic is already enough for most people. And especially if you don't actually block, then it's not really of much use because you will not be posting a lot of content. You will have just the one page. So this is probably an area that is more or less not used a lot. Then we have reading, which is more interesting for pages like this because, for example, we will probably set a front page. So we will have something that is a static page here, the sample page, for example, in this here. And then you could also have a specific page for the blog. For example, that you create a page called blog, which also is available at universitychooser.com/blog. And then you have to choose this page here, and then it will automatically rewrite the content of that page to be the list of blog posts that are on your system. You can also decide how many blog posts should be shown at once and how many blog posts should be shown in the feed. In the feed, I would go at least for 10. On the blog itself, it's kind of your choice. If you have longer posts, it might make sense to just show 5 per page. In the next area, you can decide how much text should be shown in the feed. I personally like the full text because I think people should read the text where they want to read it. So if they want to read it in a feed reader, they should be able to do that. So just keep the full text there. And the next thing is that you actually want to be in search engines and you definitely want to not have checked this box. So save the changes and then this is good. The next settings area is about discussions. And here you can change all kinds of things about the comments. As I mentioned, on a page that is just a about me page with links to different places and maybe some text about yourself, the comments will probably be disabled. So this is something that I don't focus on at all. If it is interesting for you and you want to have comments, of course, have a look here. The settings are pretty clear what they do. Just read through them, go from top to bottom, and you will find everything you need there. And if there is something unclear, you can probably go to the forums of WordPress, or you can also just comment below. Maybe I will be able to help you. Up next, we have media settings. Here you have some settings about the thumbnails and the upload files. So if you upload an image to your WordPress site, it actually gets the uploaded image quality, which is the original. And then if it's bigger than 1024 by 1024, it actually gets different versions additionally. So the original file will actually not be changed, but it will create a couple more files that will be used in the design, for example, for thumbnails or other places. So here I will actually change these settings because nowadays with Retina displays and the fast internet we experience in most places, this is actually too small in my opinion. So I would actually put 300 here. I would put maybe 900 here. And I would put 2048 here. This ensures that your pictures actually look good on all kinds of different displays, but they are still smaller than if you just have your original 24 megapixel picture. And then you have this check mark for organize my uploads into month and year based folders. I think this makes it a little more easy to find your files, so I just leave that. Last but not least, we have the permalink settings, which are critical because I think there should be some changes made. I personally do not like this setting, and I think most people don't really need this because you have the information about the year, the month, the day, and then the post slug. But it's actually not necessary because you will probably not post 5 times a day. So even just this year and month is still enough. And I personally would always go for just the post name because having just your post name behind your URL is absolutely enough. And in most cases, you will not have the same post name twice, but it is the most clear, the most easy version. And I would absolutely recommend having this. In terms of category and tags, there is also a possibility to have a base. So you could add a, for example, category base. So then by looking here, you see that the category would be universitychooser.com/categories/ and then the name of the category. I personally dislike that because I think the category names are just like post names and they will probably be unique if you have a look for them and you actually consciously choose those things. But it is a little bit easier to have a category or a tag base here. Overall, this is how you set up your WordPress, and then you go through the settings and do your changes. It will eventually get a little bit more complicated with plugins and also different theme options and stuff like that. But for now, I think this is a great overview and you kind of know where to go for what. But in the end, the website will not be based on those settings. It will actually be the content you put on there. And we will talk about the content in the next coming videos. But tomorrow we will actually focus on an SSL certificate. So you can have a HTTPS website, which is more valuable in terms of Google search engine rankings, even if you don't really need the HTTPS part of it. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. If it's something easy, I might be able to help you. Also, if you want more help with your website, looking at it or changing things, installing themes, setting it all up for you, you can shoot me an email and I will probably be able to help you there as well. In the end, I hope this video was helpful. Please leave it a like if it was, share it with someone who needs a little bit of WordPress knowledge, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this almost every day. Until then, I will see you in the next video. Bye.